gentlemen, the Uncutt Podcast.
God, I love it. So for everybody that hated the 3-minute long intro we had last week, now it's down to 45 seconds. Everybody enjoy that. Hope you like that one better. A little bit less deathmatchy. So
just wait till the flood of inboxes come in saying, "Why was the intro so short, Nick?"
Yeah, where'd the death metal go?
Where'd it go, dude? What's going on? We liked it. We loved it. We want some more of it.
Dude, Robbie, how you been, brother?
Dude, I've been good, dude. It's been quite a day. It's like 107 degrees here, dude. It's like we had a little reprieve from heat wave, and now we're right back in Hades, man.
Dude, it's been like 96 here, but it feels like 106 or some crazy shit. Yeah, and I'm gonna be in Florida next week, so it's gonna be a whole situation. But whatever.
That's a good segue into the weather. You know, like you notice there's a chair missing here because of the weather.
Yeah, unfortunately, the good brother, franchise Matt Minnick, if you know, you know, is not here because I know he lives in Michigan, but it might as well live in Kansas because I think 2 tornadoes have now hit his house within like 3 weeks.
What do you think he did to offend the powers that be upstairs? Why is he being targeted?
He's been targeted because he is way too talented, and his TikTok is just too good. So
Satan's trying
TikTok.
Satan's trying to take him down
again at Love Panda 24x48. But
Love Panda.
I got to be honest. When we started this podcast, I had two names in mind. I did not think they were going to be the first 2 guests of the show.
Aim high.
Last episode 2 weeks ago, the good brother John Wayne Murdoch.
Wow, dude, that was fun. That was a fun interview, dude.
This is the other end of the spectrum for me. This is my childhood. This is one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. You will hear a story later on tonight that fully expresses how much I appreciate this man and everything he did for professional wrestling, and for me in particular. But we got a little hype video for the good brother. So we're going to go ahead and pop that on, and then here in a minute, we will be interviewing this man, Wolfie D.
Are you sure? Hey, first of all, what up, Memphis?
Wolfie may begin, and there's a few left hands right there.
Look at Wolfie. Drop this knee down, right? Because you can feel that knee. It's something.
Out of the way. Big chair shot right there on a Brian Christian.
Bill Whitey unhappy with Wolfie Driver.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Wolfie D. So great to have you on, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's a nice video you did there too.
Dude, yeah, that's my boy TJ Vegas from the Indie Movement, one of the sponsors of our show. Put all that together. He did great work. I did love that the last clip is you hitting a Death Valley driver on the first guest of the show. I was like, that's nice continuity.
That is continuity.
So that's going to make next week hard for him. But so Wolfie, I gotta ask you this, and I think this is going to become like the new opener question. Everybody always asks like, who were you trained by, or who was your first match? I want to know, what was the moment you knew you wanted to be a professional wrestler?
Good question.
Man, pretty much right off the bat, my stepfather, you might remember him, the giant scorpion, Pete Cannon. He wrestled in Tennessee, Alabama, stuff like that. Anyway, he came into my life, I think when I was 8 years old is when he met my mother. And I had never watched wrestling a day in my life. I really didn't know it existed. And he was a big wrestling fan and would watch Memphis wrestling. And so the first time I watched it, I was just like, this is amazing. You know, it had all the stuff. Like I loved Kiss growing up. I loved, you know, comic books and things like that. And to me, wrestling kind of put all that stuff together, but in a, you know, a live action fight sort of deal, you know? So I just kind of fell in love with it right away, man. And I knew that's what I wanted to do, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I want to go all the way back to the USWA. I know you made your debut in 1991. You know, back where I come from, I didn't get USWA wrestling, so I got everything I got from the magazines. Right. I learned about JC Ice, you know, was the referee, and he was, you know, screwing over his old man.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of take us back to like how you got your first deal in USWA and working with Jerry Lawler?
Yeah. And actually, our debut in USWA was February 1993. I got in the business in late '89 and was calling myself Airwolf. I met Chris Champion, and he had a gimmick, like an Ugly Kid Joe gimmick. And I kind of dug that, and I kind of turned that into my own thing of the Wolfie D character. So then I met Jamie. And Chris was like, man, you guys ought to do that as a tag team, you know? And I came up with the name of PG-13. The song, if you remember the group NWA, there was a song called Parental Discretion is Advised. And I don't know, just that song and that warning label or whatever you want to call that, that's how I came up with PG-13. And I knew it was unique because it was just 2 letters and 2 numbers. And I can think of, there's not a tag team that had ever used anything like that. Plus there was, you know, we were the first ones to wear the shorts, and we've been copied so many times since then.
Yeah.
But you know, they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery. So whatever. We were wrestling this was in 1992. We were wrestling in, it might have even been, it was either late 92 or early 93, like January. We were wrestling a show in Beaver Dam, Kentucky for a guy named Shelby Adcock. And Jeff Jarrett was on the show. And obviously Jamie had history with him and knew him. I didn't know him. That was the first time I'd ever met Jeff. And so Jamie said, hey, man, why don't you do me a favor? And just like, and knowing Jeff as well as I know him now, this is wild that he even did it. But Jamie had a big VHS recorder, and he said, Jeff, will you film this match and take it to your dad? Tell him we want a job. And Jeff said, okay. And Jeff stood outside the damn dressing room with a VCR camera on his shoulder and filmed the entire match. We worked Brickhouse Brown and somebody else. I can't remember who the other person was, but at any rate, Jeff took it to his dad, and we got in communication with Jerry, and we went up to the mansion. The first time we actually drove up there, Jerry was sick and he blew us off. The following week, we had another scheduled meeting with him, and we got there, and before we went in, Jamie said, Wolfie, if we can make him laugh, we got a job. And I'm like, all right. So we go in there, and Jerry's sitting at his desk there, and he's got a big red nose where he's been sick and everything. And he said, well, let me see this gimmick everybody's told me about. So we went in a separate little room there out of his office, and we got changed, put our shit on, and came in there, put the hubcap around our neck, and he started giggling. And he said, I like it. I like it. And then so we talked about we did 2 weeks, well, actually 4 weeks. We did 2 separate rap videos. Jerry kind of told me what he wanted me to say in them. So I wrote 2 separate raps, one that went to Hip Hop Hooray instrumental, and one that went to Jump Around instrumental. And we played those for 4 weeks before we ever debuted. And then that's how it happened.
Why the hubcap? Why was that a thing?
Man,
I took it enough times,
so,
but I never got a chance to ask it.
Yeah, so we were in Shelbyville, and if I know you've been there, right? The cab stand. Okay, yeah. And you know the dressing room was like a freaking junkyard, and we at first we started carrying a record with us that we said was our gold record, but we used it as like a loaded record, and we whacked people with it. Well, I don't remember if Chris didn't like it because Chris was booking Shelbyville, Chris Champion, and he said we need something else for this finish. And there was a hubcap in the polished junk and shit that was back here in that locker room, and we tied a rope around it. You remember how Flavor Flav wore the clock?
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Flav already had the clock, dude.
Right.
I wrote that on my paper.
So that's where that came from. And there was actually a can of spray paint back there as well. So we spray painted PG-13 on the hubcap, and that's where that came from.
Wow.
Yeah, man. PG-13 encapsulate in the 90s, like in one package, dude. It's like me and my wife just watched. I was telling Nick, we just watched WrestleMania 13.
Yeah.
And when you guys came out, dude, that was like holy. I smelt the 90s in the room, dude. It was like it was a pungent.
Right.
Well, maybe like back then you guys were getting kind of like pounded up by like Bill Dundee and these guys, but you guys 15-time USWA.
I think 16 is the number that people, because I don't know the number. People just, when I do these things, people tell me 16 is what I've been hearing.
Whatever the higher number is, I'd say go with the higher number.
I'll go with 16, man.
Yeah, so like I was reading on your Wikipedia, like I said, a lot of this I got from magazines and stuff like that. So want to tell us about the cyberpunk gimmick where you guys don the masks?
Okay, so that was actually another creation of me and Chris Champion. Me and Chris kind of took me under his wing when I first started. I was 15 when I was training with Gypsy Joe, and then by the time I got in the ring, I was 16. So me and Chris had been throwing around ideas for we had an idea to be the crash test dummies, because that was kind of a big thing, and we were gonna throw each other into people and just do reckless things, And then we came up with this idea of the cyberpunks, and it was completely different than what ended up being. But that was something that I had been working on for a while, and a way to. So the look was completely different. It didn't even have mask. It had partial masks, like kind of like cyborg type shit. So me and Chris never got the outfits made. The idea was, because he made that turtle suit, and so I was wanting to make it out of something like that, but we never got around to doing that. So anyway, we go to Mexico, and me and Jamie go to Mexico in '94. And while we were down there, we had a lot of downtime and a lot of time in the hotel that we basically lived in. And I just started drawing, and I came up with the idea of fire and ice. And there was no plans really to use it at that time, but I wanted to have a authentic Mexican outfit made while I was there. And there was a guy, they called him Chambo, Transformer. He did Japan a lot, and he was really big in Mexico, and he had some of the coolest fucking outfits I'd ever seen, man. So I wanted this dude to make these outfits for me. So I drew him up and everything. This guy didn't even measure us, man, and he produced the gimmick for us, and we paid him for him, and that's how that happened. And then once we got back to the States and we got in that angle with Tommy and Doug, and it had kind of run its course, I pitched the idea to Randy. I said, "Hey, me and Jamie got these outfits we made I had made in Mexico." I said, "Let's do a loser leave town and do the old baby faces come back under the hoods, and they got to prove it's us. Everybody knows it's us, but they got to prove it." So we ran that angle.
Awesome.
So you brought up a name in that as somebody that meant a lot to me at the later stages of my career was Chris Champion.
Yeah.
Chris took a liking to me and my brother. I'm sure you know JC Crow. Took a liking to us, always gave us advice when we worked with him in Lewisburg, Tennessee for ASW. What are some of your favorite memories of Chris Champion? Because he was the nicest fucking guy on the planet. And
yeah, man, Chris was awesome, man. I mean, he got a bad rap there for a while, but he was a good-hearted dude, man. And just like most of us, we all got our demons and stuff like that. But I knew Chris was a good guy. You know what I mean? And I hung out with him a lot. Like I said, he kind of took me under his wing when I was a kid. coming up in the business. And I worked in the turtle suit a lot. He trusted me enough when, you know, he had to do double duty or whatever. He'd say, "You want to do the turtle tonight?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to do the turtle tonight." And, that was cool. And we trained a lot together because he would train people in Shelbyville. I'd go with him, riding up down the road with him. I mean, we were friends, man. And I remember when I heard that he had that stroke, I was working for TNA, and I found out, man, and literally I was crying in the dressing room at TNA when I found that out. It was the first time that I had seen him because he like showed up there and he couldn't talk. You know, I don't know if you remember that if you were around when the stroke happened, but he couldn't talk, you know, all that mess. And it was really bad at first. And it broke my heart to see him that way, man. And then I guess the last time I saw him before he passed away was at where was it? Lewisburg, when they did that tribute to him or whatever, Chris Champion show or whatever it was called. So I guess that was the last time I saw him, man. Yeah, been a lot of good friends of mine have passed away. We were talking about that on my podcast, actually. I look at pictures, man. I've got a big tote full of little 5x6 pictures, man, from my whole career. And I look at, God, it seems like about 50% of the photos that I look at, it's like, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. And it's just like, damn, man, you know?
That's tragic, man. It's like the amount of wrestlers that die under 50, dude, is like high, like rate there. But moving forward a little bit. So if you get around to like what the late 93, 94, how did you get the call up to New York, and what brought you over to the WWF?
That was 95, and that was Jerry Lawler, man. He always liked the gimmick, and he thought we could go up there and show out and possibly get a job. And I'll explain some of that why we didn't. So we go up there, and we didn't know, and this kind of sucks looking back on it, but you know, if you watch the match, they gave us a squash match. This is when they filmed 2 shows in one night. It was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They gave us a win on the first show, and then they put us in a 2-segment match, you know, not a squash, a 2-segment competitive match for the titles against the Smoking Guns. And they actually announced us as the USWA Tag Team Champions. And back then they didn't cross over like that. So we didn't even bring our belts with us because we had no clue that they were going to do that. And it's like, damn it, we didn't bring our belts. But so that was also the first time, if you look on those matches, you know, we had 2 little interview things that showed during the match or whatever. And we stood there, you know, we learned Memphis live, no, you know, talk about this, talk about that, boom, say it in your own words. That's how we learn. Well, we get up there, we start to doing those promos, and there's a teleprompter with shit that I wouldn't even say, you know,
right?
It's like, and so we gave it a shot. And then it just, man, me and Jamie never messed up on interviews, but I couldn't read that and still have me in there.
You weren't feeling it.
Yeah. And so we told the camera crew and them, we said, look, this ain't us, man. We wouldn't even say this. If you'll just tell us what you basically want us to say, let us do it in our own words, and I promise you'll be happy with the outcome. So they did. They shut the teleprompters off, and we, bam, you know, did 2 good promos right there. And swear to God, man, the whole camera crew was like, oh, my God, that was amazing. That was amazing. Like, nah, not really, but it's just how we do it. So after those matches and whatnot, you know, we felt pretty good about our chances. It was timing, okay? If you'll remember, you know, 95, man, the rings up there were solid as a floor because they were reinforced because you had guys like Mabel and people that were legitimately breaking the fucking rings. You had Yokozuna. I mean, and everybody was a monster up there. This was before the Mexican invasion, the cruiserweight push and all that shit, man. So it was a timing thing.
Monster.
If that had already happened, they wouldn't have said, and this was Bruce Pritchard's words, he said, we love the gimmick, we love your work, but you guys are just not big enough. So what? 2 years later, everybody's smaller than me and Jamie, that are flying around and getting over and stuff. So it was just a timing thing. So we went back to Memphis. We went, let's see, that was 96, 97. Okay, so then we were 90,
ECW?
well, not quite yet. 96 is when Cornette actually called us up about being the rappers for the Nation of Domination. He called me and he said, look, I got this idea to get you guys back in here. You're not going to be working much at first, but we plan on breaking you off into a tag team. So, okay. So what you got? And he explained it to me, Farouk, it's Farouk, and you're going to be two white guys that are throwing the black power sign,
Was that was like some controversial shit right there, man?
You couldn't get away with that now.
Malcolm X guys out there and then two white wannabe rappers, dude, that's like money.
Yeah, there's no way you could do that now. But at any rate, so he tells me the look that they're looking for. It was still PG-13, but a little bit different because we switched to pants and had those big jackets and all that shit. But they sent us, he said, here's what I need you to do. I need you to write a rap. And he told me kind of what he needed it to be about, Farouk, and kind of gave me the rundown of that shit. So they sent us $1,000 and said, go shopping and, get your gimmick. So we went and bought fake gold teeth and fake gold chains. Had those jackets and hats made and bought new shoes and all that shit. And then they fly us up there to the office in Connecticut, and we meet with Jim Johnson, who was the music guy. So he lays down this track for us. When it says, we are the nation of domination, that's me and Jamie, but he just echoed our voices to make it sound like a whole bunch of people saying it. And messed with that. So that's our voices, actually, me and him. And so then we get the sound laid out for what he wanted, and then I had the rap, and we did it in studio, recorded it. So then he gives us an instrumental, and we know we got, I don't remember, man, it was probably a month or so before we were going to debut on Survivor Series 96. So me and Jamie have a cassette tape of the instrumental, and we was riding together, obviously, and we just would do it over and over and over and over and over because we knew we had to do it live in the arenas. So then the funny part is we get there at Survivor Series, and Vince wants to see this new product here. So Vince, nobody's in the arena or whatever except the guys. Vince is standing at the bottom of the ramp. They start the music. We got live mics. We come out. We start rapping. Jim Johnson had changed the fucking instrumental. So instead of going, we are the nation of domination, it did, like when we recorded it, it did that through the whole thing. Well, he had inserted more, we are the nation, and we didn't know that. So it threw us off. So our first run down the ramp in front of Vince was a fucking fuck up. And so we're telling them, hey, they've changed the music on us. Give us just a second to hear this. So, and every night, and Nick, Jamie, he ain't got a rhythmatic zone in his body, right? So every night doing this live, I'd either have to pick up the tempo or take over, or, it was like pulling teeth doing this thing live. But so we made the adjustment, and everything, worked fine after that. There were some times where it was a funny story. Davey Boy and Owen had shaven Jamie passed out in the dressing room, right? And so they put and our music is playing, and Jamie's in the dressing room, and Owen, I go in there, and Owen and Davey Boy had put shaving cream all over him. All over his gimmick. So I got to put him in the fucking shower, rinse all this fucking shaving cream off of him, and basically drag his ass to the ring. And I think that night I did the rap completely by myself.
Dude, we got an Owen rib.
Yeah.
Yes. The podcast's first Owen rib. Beautiful. Oh, I know Robbie's going to ask you about WrestleMania 13 here in a second because he just watched it today. I want to fast forward just a touch because he did bring up ECW, and I want to bring up one of my favorite ECW matches of all time, and that's PG-13 versus Mikey Whipwreck and Spike Dudley.
We had great matches with them.
The night you did the most unthinkable thing ever in the ECW arena and put on a Memphis tag match and got the fans behind it.
Yeah.
What are your memories of working with those guys and some other guys you might have worked with in ECW, but especially that match?
Originally,
that was just insane to me growing up as a kid. I'm
yeah,
like, Sandman's making
originally,
everybody bleed, and now Wolfie's working Southern style.
Well, see, I always thought, man, and it worked for us, man. Anywhere, you got your Memphis, you got your North, you got different styles around the country, basically, and then you got your ECW that kind of made its own style. But I always, and Jamie, this is the way we thought about it, is I can adapt to your style, but I'm going to pepper a little bit of my shit in there too and make it work. We did the same thing in Mexico. We didn't really change how we worked. We just went a little bit faster like they did, but we still did our shit, and I don't mean, when I say our shit, I don't mean our moves. I just mean our psychology. So ECW, man, we originally, the first match we had up there was because Perry and Cronus wanted, the Eliminators, they wanted to work us up there because when they worked us in Memphis, we had just come back from Mexico. We took the titles from them. And I'm not sure that they ever fucking beat us after that because we started getting a push and they didn't like it too much, but they liked us, thank God, because Perry would beat you to death. So they wanted to work us in Philly. So we came up there and worked. That was our first match, was against them. Good match. We put them over because the way they built it was the team that the Eliminators have never beaten. So we went up there and did that. And then Candido was the one that was really getting us booked after that. And we basically worked Mikey and Spike almost every fucking night up there, man. I know we worked the Pitbulls once. I worked Taz in a singles.
You guys did Hardcore Heaven,
right?
97 against the
and I actually, I'll be honest with you. Let me give you the rundown on that, which I still to this day don't fucking understand why they did this, because we were heels the entire time we were there, and so I mean, Tommy Dreamer liked us, Candido liked us, everybody, Raven, everybody who was in a position, to be persuasive, I guess you'd say, to the office, liked us. So anyway, I felt like Heyman did this because this was our last match with them. I feel like Paulie did this for some reason, and I don't know what that reason is, unless it was because we did the job for the Road Warriors.
Mania
on Raw. No, that was Raw right after WrestleMania. And that's a whole nother story. But I really did not like the Hardcore Heaven 97 match because what they did was basically switch the roles. You got the fucking Dudley boys doing a goddamn pump handle spot. That's our shit. You know what I'm saying? Why are we now baby faces working the Dudleys trying to do fucking comedy spots? That made zero sense to me. And when they came to us and being, hey, we're gonna do y'all's spots, and I'm like, what?
Does that work?
Dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
I'm gonna throw it out there, like when you work for a place like Jerry Lawler's Fed, where they're running the books, and WWF, which is totally professional, and they're teleprompting every word for you to say. And then you go over to ECW, and from the documentaries I've learned about ECW, there was a lot of hands in the cookie jars. I mean, there were a lot of talent manipulating things, and I'm sure Nick knows from his experience in all this game is that, you get people, they're always going to look after themselves,
Yeah. I just, like I said, I don't know why they went that route with it, but again, I do think it had a lot to do with the Road Warrior thing. And we knew that. And see, I'll tell you the story of that, because that at one point we were working, Monday Night Raw for WWF. We were working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for USWA, and then Friday, Saturday for ECW. We were doing that every week. Lawler didn't like it too much because he wasn't getting us there full time. And so there was some sort of drama the night that they told us. So like I said, it was WrestleMania, and then the very next Raw, they tell us we're working Hawk and Animal. smash job, whatever. It's the Road Warriors, and those are my fucking heroes, and they were also my friends. I became friends with these guys, man. And so I really didn't have a problem with that, but it was the reasoning I knew behind it. Candido come to us, and Candido said, man, they're doing this to y'all because Lawler's pissed off that y'all are in ECW on the weekends, and that's why this is happening. So and we're cool as shit now. I just texted him yesterday, but Lawler, I've pretty much backed him up against the wall, and I fucking went off on him, and it, possibly a near fight, but King wasn't gonna, do that. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't escalate it that far, but we had a good cuss match because we felt like he was the reason why they were doing this to us. So me and Jamie went to Hawk and Animal and said, we're leaving. Fuck this. This is going to fuck everything up for us that we got going on right now. And they were like, dude, I don't blame you. Do what you got to do. And, we were like, this has nothing to do with you guys because, we love you. And they're like, we got it. We got you. So we were already dressed. We got our bags and we fucking went to the car. Well, here comes Jim Ross and Shawn Michaels out there. Please, guys, please come back in here and do business and do this, man. Please. We're like, no, fuck this, man. We were kind of telling them what we thought was going on. And, I'm not ashamed to say, man, like I said, you asked me the first question, about when did I decide? Well, this brought fucking tears to my eyes, man. I just come off WrestleMania. Even though, I wasn't legitimately in a match, but I played a big part in the match and we interfered a lot and took the fucking double doomsday device, I had just come off WrestleMania and it's like, I'm at the top of my game right now and I'm getting fucking fired by WWE. It made me fucking cry, man. I'm not going to lie about it. So Shawn said, look, guys, I will get you paid for the next month if you will come back in here and do this. We're like, yeah, whatever. Okay, so we ended up going back in and probably having one of the best squash matches the Road Warriors have ever had because we made it entertaining. And so that's what happened with all that, man. And to this day, I don't know why the ECW thing happened like it did, and I don't know if it was Lawler. I still don't know. I still don't know how all that happened. But I do know that WrestleMania week we had way more extracurricular activities than we should have, and I think that got us a lot of heat too. Because, man, as old as we were, hell, I was only 22 years old, man. I was just having a good time, glad to be there, and thought it was never going to end, man. You don't have, they got, NFL has guys that take these young cats that are getting paid all this money and fame, and they kind of got them to not go off the wrong path. And I think that WWE, has sort of that thing going on now too. They didn't back then. Nobody gave a fuck, So I feel like, and this is not to blame anyone. I blame me and Jamie, but at the same time, really had nobody telling us, hey, man, y'all shouldn't be doing that. Because everybody else was fucking doing it,
Mentors, yeah. Like, yeah. You want to, like, what about 1994, Puerto Rico?
Oh, yeah.
I've looking you up and seeing all the people you worked with and stuff. So I just wanted your opinions on Carlos Colon, the World Wrestling Council. I mean, that was like 94. That was Brutus Brody died in 88. So I mean, that was
go down there and and there was a story about the Batten twins getting locked up down there too. So you go down there kind of with your guard up, Dutch had called us. He was the booker and got us down there in November 94, I think it was. But yeah, I mean, we worked a whole bunch. I loved it, man, because the crowds, were big most of the time, and they were into that shit, man. You grab an arm, they pop, and that was cool to me, And I could work my style and get reaction from it, for just a little shit. My Puerto Rico story, Nick's probably heard this. So we were doing TV, right, and Dutch books us against this big Puerto Rican dude. They were job guys. We were heels. And then this little Japanese guy. And he said, I need you guys to go out there and don't give them shit. I need you guys to get the fuck over. Now, in 1994, I kind of knew what that meant. Right now, I absolutely know what that means. But I didn't then. So we go out there, and I mean, I'm not giving the guy much. I gave him an arm, you know, and then he starts putting the boots to me, gut shot kicks. And I sold way more than I should have. And I know that now. But we still whooped the shit out of him and beat him. We come back from the ring, and Dutch is like, God damn it, you motherfuckers. I told you not to give him nothing.
You blew it.
Like, fuck, Dutch, Jesus. And so everybody's ribbing me. And like I said, this dude was kind of big. He was like a security guard, rent-a-cop type dude on the side or whatever. So everybody's kind of ribbing me all week. You let that motherfucker take your shit, blah, 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 blah. So Dutch books us the next TV against them again. And so, of course, I'm getting ribbed. He's going to stretch your ass. He's going to stretch your ass this time. And so I'm thinking, fuck, man, this guy's a big guy. I was not near the size that I am now or seasoned like I am, you know. And I'm thinking, I ain't let this motherfucker beat my ass. So I go down to the bar. It was called the Blue Dolphin. It hung over the ocean. You could sit outside, but you're over the ocean. I used to love to go down there. And so I started drinking and thinking what I was going to do. What I was going to do to this motherfucker, right?
It's a great combination right before a match.
I love it.
So I come up with this idea. Have you heard this story, Nick?
I think you told me this, but like 15 years ago. So I'm totally it sounds familiar, but it's like, this is great. I've been
I put Icy Hot on my fingers like you would on your toothbrush. I put one in here and one right there. And we go to the ring, and I locked up with dude. I said, take my arm. He took my arm. I took that Icy Hot. I fucking buried it in his eyes. Buried it. I mean, stuck my fingers all off in his eyes and rubbed that shit around. Obviously, he can't see now. And I started, just punching this guy in the face. He's bleeding fucking after I hit him a while, whatever. And he can't see, and he's a big dude. And at one point, he actually like pushed me into the corner and just grabbed like the second rope to kind of, you know, try to get his sight back or whatever. Jamie come over with the hubcap in his ribs and shit and let go. And so, like I said, this guy's bleeding. The fans know that shit was legit, and they were fucking going crazy. And so the guy rolls out of the ring and goes back to the dressing room. Then the dressing rooms were not connected, okay? So you never saw them. It was just like the old days, man. The heels, baby faces. You never saw each other. Okay, so suddenly about 10 to 15 cops, Puerto Rican cops with helmets and fucking shields show up. Those fucking clear shields show up, and they're surrounding the arena. Okay, they're all over the arena. And Jamie, you know, we're thinking, okay, this dude's a rent-a-cop. He's got connections. These guys are here to fucking arrest us for doing what we've just done. And we're fucking freaking out, man. Jamie's sitting on the commode in the stall with his feet pulled up so you can't see his feet. And he says, he's going, Wolfie, I ain't going, man. I ain't going. So
Jamie acted like he had never been to jail before.
Yeah, not Puerto Rican jail. So here's what happens, man, is we find out. So I don't remember when I found this part out, but this is how it was going down. The dude went back to the dressing room, reaches in his bag, pulls out a fucking gun, and says, I killed the Wolfie. I killed the Wolfie. So the promoter, it wasn't Carlos. I don't remember if he was on that show or not, but called the police to protect us from being shot is the reason these police were there. We didn't know that. So anyway, the cops escort us out of the building to our car, and we go back to the hotel room. So, and I've heard this story from every guy that's been down there since. Savio Vega has told me this story. I mean, this happened. This is legit. So let me get to the finish here, though. The next morning, I go outside the hotel, and there was a payphone right on the road there. And I remember, I'll never forget this scene. It was raining, and I'm standing there in the rain. I called Dutch, and I said, Dutch, what do I do? You know, because the Puerto Ricans, even the babyface guys were like, amigo, he put stuff in his eyes, man. They were pissed off at me. So I said, Dutch, man, what should I do? He said, Wolfie, I ain't got your back on this, bro. You know, so I said, all right, man. And I hung up. I went straight to the airport and went home. And so, as I said, as the story goes, when this guy got home, his dad was like a military guy or something, very machismo. You know how the Latinos are. And he saw his son all fucking beat up and shit, wanted to know who did it. And the guy popped in the tape and showed me and Jamie's little asses beating him up, right? So that morning after I had left, they came to my hotel room looking for me. Now, I don't know what they was going to do to me. That's up in the air, but like they legitimately came looking for me to do something. I don't know what it was, but
I don't think they were there like to buy you breakfast.
I was about to say, I don't think they're going to try the continental breakfast or anything.
Yeah. There was no continental breakfast at the hotel that we used to stay at, man. There was fucking roaches this fucking big everywhere. That's where they put the boys. But yeah, man. So that I never went back to Puerto Rico after that. Bushwhacker Luke would call me when he was booking. Hey, mate, come on back to Puerto Rico. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay now.
They probably have memories. I don't know. So, man,
that was my Puerto Rico story.
So, Mania 13.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know you took the double doomsday. We kind of glossed over it earlier. What's that day like, though, man? Like, I've never talked to somebody, like, just sit down conversation about, like, what is a WrestleMania day like?
Well, it's a WrestleMania week. You're there for days before that at the, doing autograph signs. That's when they still had the Slammy Awards too. So we had to go to the Slammies. I mean, there's fans everywhere, and even though we weren't, superstars or anything there. I mean, everybody knows you, and you're signing autographs all the time, and like I said, me and Jamie participated in way more partying than we should have. So I honestly didn't soak it in like I should have, and I do regret that. But that's life. But man, yeah, it's crazy, man. When you think the show opens and you're thinking I'm on Wrestle fucking Mania, and I can honestly say, and I don't mean this to sound conceited or anything, but I've never really ever been nervous a day in my life walking to the ring, and I wasn't then either. I mean, heck, Royal Rumble of '97 had 60,000 people at the San Antonio Dome. What a fucking rush that is, man. That's crazy amount of people to see. That WrestleMania was like 18,000. I mean, that's still a shit ton of people, but you walk out in front of 60,000, it just looks like a sea of people. It was amazing, man. So some of that shit was really cool, man. It's just you like I said, I can say I've never been nervous really a day in my life, and I just knew that this was always what I was meant to do. Unfortunately, I had to kind of get out of the business before I wanted to, because my body's so fucked up. But here's what it is, man. I had a great run, and a lot of fun. WrestleMania is just WrestleMania. You know what I mean? You were there, and nobody can ever take that away from you.
Yeah. Now I gotta put it in some perspective for anybody that hasn't gone and watched it. You guys followed Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret the Hitman Hart, the submission match that a lot of people say launched Stone Cold's career.
Yeah.
Dude, that crowd was insane. Were you guys watching that match before, or were you doing your own, worried about what you were doing?
I think I probably was, because especially if we were up next. And see, I don't even remember that. I don't remember the order or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially if we were next. But fuck, man, it's hard not to get a reaction when, like I say, even though it was a street fight match, so we did stuff and all that, and even though it wasn't our match, we're fucking working the Road Warriors, man. They're gonna fucking get a pop no matter what, man.
That was my point. You go like the crowd is like, oh, they just saw this fucking
in Chicago
epic battle with Stone Cold and Hart, and then the next match you guys come out, dude. You work in the crowd, and then the Road Warrior pop, dude. Yeah. The place. I mean, that arguably that could one of the most exciting hours in wrestling, right there, and you were right in the middle of it, dude. But
if you guys want, real quick, I'll tell you some pretty cool things about the Road Warriors, man.
Like absolutely.
I became friends with them. there's one story where me and Jamie, I want to say this was the WrestleMania week. It may not have been. I don't remember. But we went, just us four, went to this little dive bar. And for whatever reason, Jamie didn't drink that night. And it was hardly nobody in there. And neither did Animal. But me and Hawk got smashed. And we're sitting up at the bar, man, and I'm telling him, man, you're the reason I wanted to be a wrestler, man. And he's crying, and I'm crying, and we're hugging each other. We're hugging at the bar. And if you could just think of that scene right there, big-ass Hawk, and the size I was then, hugging and crying at the bar. So, anyway, Animal, finally, he looks at Jamie, and he says, you get the little one, I'll get the big one. Let's go. They fucking grab us, take us out. But here's a pretty cool thing, man. Is if you'll look at the, not only I've took that Doomsday device so many times now. I took it as Slash and TNA from them. Took the double one at WrestleMania. I took the single one at WWE. So if you look on the back, and I've got it right over here. Hang on one second.
Yo, Nick.
This is so wild. Dude.
This is sick, dude.
I love it. So this is the best idea we ever came
up with. Matt.
This is the greatest matches of the Road Warriors where the WWE put out. If you look right there, that's me.
Woo! Immortalized.
I am on the Road Warriors back cover DVD. That's fucking awesome to me.
That's wild.
So 2016, working for Chase Stevens and the Bond lady. And I was kind of doing a lot of the booking for that. Me and Chase were both kind of booking him. I'm working Derek King, and I had him in a little group with Tracy Smothers and Moonshine Mantell. And the finish to that match was going to be they jump in. All of a sudden, oh, what a rush. Animal runs down. He shit cans everybody. And me and Animal, raise hands. So I thought, man, this is my only chance right here. And I went to Joe and I said, that's Animal. I said, Joe, let's make this a little more exciting. He said, what are you talking about? And I said, instead of just shit canning everybody, I said, can you shit can two and then put one of them on your shoulders and let me go up to the top rope and do the clothesline? He looked at me like this, leaned back, cocked his head sideways. He said, Wolfie, you know that I wouldn't do this for anybody but you. And that was like, And he said, yeah, man, I'll do that for you. So Joe comes, the right before the finish, I did where I would run and do like a Thez press on them and then start biting them. Well, when I came down, I ripped my tricep off the bone completely. I didn't know that at the time. It just felt like my elbow exploded and hurt really bad. So in my head, I'm going, I'm fucking hurt. My arm's broke or something, but there's no way. And it was my right arm. And I said to myself, there's no way I'm not fucking doing this fucking finish. You know what I mean? I could have laid there, sold it and not done it. But it was like, there's no way I'm not doing this. And so Animal runs down, and he had his knee, bless his heart. His knees were going bad, and he put Derek up on his shoulders, and he stumbles all the way to the ropes and almost drops Derek over the top rope from his shoulders. But he caught himself and got back in the middle of the ring. And I went up to the top, and I did the clothesline. There's pictures of that, too, on my Facebook, I think. But I did the clothesline boom, and, that was extremely awesome to me. That's how – I haven't had a match since. That was the last move that I got to do was the Doomsday device with Animal. So you think about it, man. My heroes that were the reason that I wanted to be a wrestler. I'm on their cover. I get to do the move with them. That's fucking sensational to me, and I'll take that for a last match.
Fuck yeah, dude. I agree with that. That's awesome, dude.
Oh man, dude, I wish we had more time. We usually only do about an hour on this thing, but there's something I did want to talk to you about. Robbie, you got any more questions before I do this?
Fuck, I got a notebook, but I'll end it like this because we covered everything, dude. It would be hard pressed not to talk about.
I want to talk to you about TNA at some point. This is something we're going to have to do a part 2 because I want to do like Disciples of the New Church, because you were managed by Belladonna, my trainer's girlfriend. And, I mean, I told you when we were talking about this privately, like, you were required viewing in the house when I lived with Slicer J. So like, but 2003. Well, let me rewind a little bit back to about 98, 99. You're not going to remember any of this, and that's perfectly okay. But you did a autograph signing at a comic book shop in Hermitage, Tennessee. They were opening first day. You and Jamie were there. You did a comic book signing. Me and my 2 best friends went to that comic book signing, and I looked at you and I said, one day I want to be a wrestler. Wow. And I want to wrestle you. And you were like, well, get your education and get trained. Like, you gave me the super baby face answer.
Oh, come on, dude.
Looking back at it now, I'm like, what a fucking just awesome baby face.
He was blowing smoke up my butt.
But we fast forward to the beginning of 2003. I'm managing Eron Hatchet when he was Norway Havoc. I was Waterboy Nick. And this was, I think, my second night as a manager. Slash bouncing me off the ceiling in Madison, Tennessee with the whirly bird.
You know how bad people hated taking that?
I took it 7 times. I remember every single one, and I got bounced off the ceiling on 4 of them, and I didn't care every time. It was the coolest thing in the world to me. But
thank you.
But when I had my first match, after Tony and little Tony had trained me for about 3 hours. It was you and Uncle Tony against me and Eron. So when you were telling the story earlier about you and Hawk being drunk in the bar and you hugging him and telling him, you're the reason I wanted to be a wrestler. You were the reason I wanted to be a wrestler.
Man, thank you.
Then I got to have my first match against you. And you pile drove me, and my sister, who was in the crowd, ran in and I dead sold, and she wouldn't get out of the ring until she knew I was okay. So I had to whisper to her, "I'm fine. Let me up." Security literally pulled her out of the ring. But that stuff, man. Like, I know you got out earlier than you wanted to. But JC Crow, my best friend, myself, I talked to Slacker Jay, my trainer. You remember Slacker, of course.
I trained him.
Yeah, I talked to him at the little wrestler reunion they had a few weeks back, and you made an impact in a lot of lives. And I don't want to ever undersell how much you meant to me growing up, and then even working shows with you later. How cool it was.
I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Not to have those moments.
And it's always, you don't think of yourself that way. You always think of like how I look at these guys is not how I think anybody would look at me. You know what I'm saying? I've got a letter one time. I don't want to say a letter. I got a Facebook message from a lady, and her father had passed away. And she was writing me this letter to thank me because they used to watch wrestling together every Saturday. And she said that was her greatest memories, and that I was their favorite, me and Jamie basically were their favorite wrestlers. And she just wrote me this big, long message about that. It brought tears to my eyes, man. I'm thinking, this lady's dad just died, and she's writing me, telling me that I gave her some great moments with her father and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, it's hard for me to just, you know what I mean? I don't even know the word I'm looking for. It's just hard for me to soak that in, But yeah, man, I really appreciate that. And it does mean a lot to me because, I'm not one of the guys that I made a living. I didn't get rich. Got short sold a couple of times, on things that I think could have turned out a whole lot different, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the business. I was one that, like I said, as a kid, I knew right then that's what I wanted to do, and I was in it. You know how hard it is. Let me tell you this real quick. because for love of the game is a good way of putting it for me. Then when I changed into Slash, the first place that I went and to experiment this gimmick was for Cornette and OVW. Every Wednesday, I got on a Greyhound bus and I rode from Nashville to fucking Louisville. Spent the night at Cornette's house and then had my ex-wife pick me up and drive me back home. And I wasn't making much, let me tell you, but I sat on a Greyhound fucking bus because I knew if I could get up there, I'd get another shot with WWE. And I did. I got a Slash work for WWE a few times and I fucked that up. But it was for love of the game. I got on a fucking bus and rode up there. And then you got guys that were, Batista started there. He didn't want to be a wrestler. Hell, he still don't want to be a fucking wrestler. And for guys like me and Flash and Trailer Park Trash and guys like that weren't making shit, they weren't jumping on a Greyhound like I was. But you know that this dude's getting paid probably about $1,000 a week to not like wrestling and train to be a wrestler from WWE. And you're kind of helping show these guys that, those are the things that kind of suck in our business, for people that it's love of the game. But
yeah,
I put my heart and soul in everything I did, man. So I do appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, man, it's been an honor. This is last segment. We always do this. I'm going to back me and Robbie out, give you the full screen, hype up anything you want, any message you want to send to your fans, man. Feel free. It's all yours, brother.
Yeah, the main project that I got going on right now is Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. My co-host is Jimmy Street, who has worked his butt off getting us on different platforms. We should be on Apple by our next episode, which we drop a new episode every Monday at noon. We're basically going through my timeline. And this week, Monday coming up, Father James Mitchell will be on. We did one with him the other night. It's going to be good. He stayed the whole hour. I've done one with Ricky Morton. I've got a lot of commitments from some good people that were a part of my career. And so that's what we're talking about. Like I said, you can check it out. Spotify, Google, Apple should have it soon. They've already told us, by the end of the week we'll be on. So that's really the main thing. If you are close to Somerset, Kentucky, and you need a new vehicle, get in touch with me. I sell cars. My webpage for that is Heavyweight Champion of Auto Sales on Facebook. The Live and in Color with Wolfie D is on Facebook. My personal page, if you want to get on there, it's under Warren Wolf, WOLFE. You're welcome to do that too. But that's really the main things I got going on. I've been doing autograph signings. We're doing the big event in New York in November, me and Jamie. Got a few other little things. If you want an 8x10 autograph, get in touch with me. I got plenty of those too. So thank you, Nick. That's really all I got to plug, brother.
Dude, I got one more question. It's real easy.
Yeah.
Did Jamie really bang Michelle McCool?
Michelle McCool? I don't think
Taker's
so.
wife.
Who?
Undertaker's wife.
No. This was his. When he says that, he's talking about his first wife, Jody.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
I watched you guys.
It was not when they were together. It was before all that.
So that's a yes. I'll take that as a yes. Thank you, Wolfie D, man. Thank you very much, man. It's been my honor to talk to you today, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Man. Thank you for everything, Wolfie.
Yes, sir.
Whoa, man, that was cool, dude.
Man, what a down to earth guy. I wish he was the star I look at him as. You know what I mean? I wish the world knew, but.
I just like, what he was just last talking about really resonated with me about like the letter he got, because like I watched wrestling with my parents, dude. Like when I look back at my childhood, dude, that was the one thing me and my parents had like that. Like, while I was off doing my crazy kid stuff, that was the one bond we had was wrestling. And, when we see these wrestlers and they become part of our families, it's true.
Well, from a guy who career has ended, but with a major star. Next week we're gonna have a guy whose career is just on the uptick. and had a great showing last weekend at the Scenic City Invitational. Has a lot going on. One of my favorite young talents on the Indies next show, next Thursday night, we will have Alex Kane on.
Yeah, man, you've been excited about that one since we started this thing, so I can't wait either, man.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to make it. I'm supposed to be in Florida next week, so I'm going to be in Florida, but hopefully, we'll figure out a way to get this thing filmed before I leave. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Right, it's been a blast, brother, dude. The stuff we got planned, guys, for this podcast, y'all.
Oh man, dude, we gotta have Wolfie D back on, dude, because we didn't even talk about WCW.
We didn't talk about WCW. We didn't talk about TNA. I got a whole lot of questions about the Disciples of New Church.
He brought up James Mitchell. I got some questions about that too. So we definitely got to have him back on.
Yeah, for sure. We'll that's gonna happen. Ladies and gentlemen, Uncutt Podcast. Robbie, you didn't get to say it last week, so I'm gonna let you say it this week. How many clicks is it, Bubba?
That's 2 clicks, Nick.
2 clicks. Franchise isn't here.